You ever have that meeting where everything clicks and then the yes evaporates? Not because the math was wrong, but because the moment for commitment was missed. Today, we're finishing the playbook from the closing manual, the last 5 chapters. It's about securing commitment, the closes that work in 2025, the psychology after the signature, how we train it, and how pros stay sharp for decades.
Part one was conversation over pitch. Part two is leadership over luck. We're going deep. We're giving you word for word language you can use this afternoon. So if you've got a pipeline full of maybes, grab a pen.
This is Plan Life Right. I'm Kevin Ross. Let's get going. Well, welcome back, everyone. The show where we help you protect families, keep promises, and actually enjoy the work. With me is my co host and professional devil's advocate, Matt Floyd.
Part one was conversation over pitch. Part two is leadership over luck. So we're tackling the last 5 chapters of the closing manual: commitment, closes that work now, the psychology after the signature, how to train it, and how pros stay number one.
Let's get you paid for the work that you already did.
So where does commitment actually happen?
It's in the micro decisions that you stack before the money moves. I call it commitment scaffolding. Little yeses that make the big yes obvious. So, promise the path. Here's how we'll use the 20 minutes, what I'll need from you, and how we'll decide today. And then the why. What has to be true for this to be a win? You got to listen, you got to label it, and you got to repeat it back so that they're hearing it. And then you put the evidence in their hands. So you say, for instance, 250,000 right here. You see that line? That's your sleep at night number. And then you give them two smart options. Start at 100K and you review it in 60 days, or you set the full 250 and you schedule a 30-day check. So it's whatever fits your goal for that client, whatever that client's telling you that they need to get comfortable with. When you're finished, you want to have a clean finish. So you want to have the driver's license and the beneficiary details, and then you want to um, lock in the product while the rates still hold. And with everything that's going on, rates could be changing. It's really prudent to say that.
Yeah, that scaffolding kinda kills that "I'll think about it" fog that a lot of clients have, when sitting across the table from them, and that's how you keep the room from drifting.
Exactly. And here's the commitment question I teach in the book. Assuming we can deliver that outcome without adding risk, is there anything that would keep us from moving forward today? And then you shut up, you listen. Silence tells you the truth.
Yeah, if they say timing, you schedule a 10-minute go, no go with a reason. "I'm holding this illustration for 48 hours. If numbers change, we'll rebuild." Specific beats vague every single.
Yeah, and if they say, "I need to talk to," you got to respect it. And then you ask, what would they need to see to feel great about this? And then you just discovered the real buyer as well, right?
Yeah, so let's do kind of a quick role play. If we could raise your income floor by $1,100 without adding market risk, stopping us from moving forward today?
Yeah, it could be, maybe the surrender schedule. I know a lot of advisors, oh, I don't like the surrender charge. That's really, I think, a win. But maybe it's the surrender charge. So you name it, you quantify it, you map A and B with that concern addressed. That's what I call leadership. And what I tell every advisor to tell their client, the greatest thing that an annuity has is a surrender schedule because it gives you a predictable out.
Right. Yeah. Lead your clients to the right decision. Don't sell them
Right.
something.
Again, leadership, right?
So open the manual, give us the 4 closes you actually use in 2025.
Yeah. So the four that I think works right now: clean, ethical, friction light. The first one's the direct close. That's when alignment is obvious. So, for example, you said protection matters more than upside, and the math hits your target. So let's lock this in now while caps still are here and we can hold it. Where's your, let me say the driver's license and get the beneficiary information, and then we're done. It's short, it's respectful, and there's really no apology.
Right.
And then, one of my favorites, I've been doing this since I was in my 20s, the Ben Franklin close. And that's, when they're actually torn between two good options. You showed them two different alternatives. They're now can't make the decision. The Franklin close could
So
be
let me
the,
guess, you get out your T chart and you start doing pros on this side, cons on that side. Is that how we do it?
oh, yeah, exactly. Now, we modernized it now. We build it together. Okay. Instead of you just writing it out, you build it together. But the bias when you do this is stated to their why.
Right.
Again, well, last week we talked about you got to know the why. So the bias starts with the why. So, for example, the left side, this keeps your income floor steady, it reduces sequence risk, it protects your spouse. The right side, lower liquidity on this slice. Maybe you don't like the surrender schedule 1 to 10. If you're doing income, that doesn't even really matter. Then you ask, which column better protects the person you said that you're doing this for? People choose in line with their values. That's key there. People choose in line with their values. And then there's the Columbo close. Now, many people probably don't know who Columbo is. I barely remember him. That's how old this show goes back. But
Yeah, trench coat, notepad.
there you
One
go.
last question. That was his famous catch line.
Exactly
One
it.
last question.
So it's the just one more thing,
Yep.
right? With curiosity, not sarcasm. So a lot of people, and I get this. I have sales guys, young sales guys, try to do this, and that they're sarcastic. They're like belittling me or whoever they're selling to. I'm like, that's how you do it. You got to have some empathy right here, but when you're selling to someone, you really need to be curious and empathetic so that so that you're believable to them. So another way to say, just one more thing. What part still feels foggy? Or one more thing. What would make this a firm 9 out of 10 for you? But what this does is you surface the real objection without a fight. You've broken down those walls. And then last is the option close. So you've got like a close map. That's when choice paralysis threatens,
Right.
paralysis by analysis. You gotta put that map out
Yeah,
there.
you can
So
go with this one right off the bat if you're
right.
trying to close an engineer or a lawyer.
Oh yeah, right. Because they're gonna analyze everything and do nothing. So you really do have to take leadership in there. So one of the ways you can do this, an example of this would be to do the two smart options. So say we've got an engineer and they're going to overanalyze this and never make the decision. So here's your two smart options. Start with 100K. We'll review it in 60 days, or we'll move the whole 250 and schedule a 30-day check-in, which puts, and then ask which puts you in the best sleep at night zone. So now you've thrown it back and you've given them two options, the engineer. And then you ask this question, which puts you in the best sleep at night zone? And then, of course,
Yep.
silence. Options reduce anxiety, and your calm invites the decision.
And where do outside frameworks help?
It gets them to restate their value in their words. So people act to stay consistent with what they've already said. So, how would you like me to structure this so it's easy to say yes or no today? It lowers the pressure and raises clarity. So, for example, if your income floor were guaranteed at X dollars, what would that free you up to do? Now they're selling themselves. You put the ball back in their court, and they're now painting a vision of what they think that
Right.
additional income will mean in their life.
And what is your golden rule?
Look, no cleverness. You've got to be clear. You got to be clear. So no cleverness without clarity. I like to say this. I think I said this last week when we were talking. If your mom wouldn't get it, cut it. So use short words and one ask at a time. A lot of times we get, because we know so much, we try to share everything we know and then we confuse them.
Right.
And when you're talking with that end buyer, they know very little. They want to know more, but you got to keep it simple.
Yeah.
So,
This is for those folks that love what they do, passionate about it. You can
right,
get carried away. You get wrapped up in the, "Oh my
100%.
god, I'm saving their retirement. This is gonna be
Right,
great." And
right.
then you over explain, you oversell, then they're like, "You gave me too much information. I gotta
Y-
go sleep on it."
Yeah, and you could start seeing their eyes, start rolling back in their head because I don't even know what's just said. So
So,
there's a real
yeah,
art to
one
that.
at a time, one concept at a time, one question at a.
That's right. The flow.
So you say the sale isn't done at yes. It's done when buyer's remorse never shows.
Yeah, that's welcome to the day two selling, right? Three things: positive affirmation, immediately post signature. So, example of that is you made a thoughtful decision that protects your income floor and your spouse. Most people wait until a downturn forces a move, and you got ahead of it. You're you what you're doing here is you're affirming their identity. You're smart, it's proactive, and protective.
It's almost, I mean, you could also even like, "You know what?
Right.
Thank you for entrusting me, helping you arrive at this. This was a big decision. Made the right one together."
Yeah. And then you got to set the expectations up. So, for example, over the next 72 hours, you're going to see a carrier email, a transfer request, and then confirmation. We'll text you when each is sent. If you see something off, reply question and I'll call you. So, see, that clarity reduces the cortisol
Yeah.
that people are forming in because they're like, oh God, what's
Yeah,
going to
what did I
happen
just do to
next?
myself?
Right.
Yeah.
And then another thing that's, I think, really good is what I call the 48-hour touch plus the 30-day check. So 48 hours, you're going to get a carrier note today, anything confusing. So you click that out. And then in 30 days, hey, quick review. Here's the policy numbers, confirmations, the beneficiaries on file. Any questions before we set that 6-month checkup? So it's predictable touch points. It beats the panic calls. So you really like a lot of a lot of advisors. I don't want to do that's so much more work. But what it creates is the panic call. It
Yeah.
stops the panic
It saves
calls.
you work down the line.
Exactly. It saves you down. It saves the client trying to get a hold of you and you're on vacation because the market's dropped and they forgot that this money you put in the annuities doesn't matter, for example. So if you set it up in that, this is what this is what's going to happen in 30 days, and in 30 days, okay, are we good now? Let's touch base in six
Yep.
months. It's really, really knocks down that panic call.
Yeah. And I had an advisor who did not heed this advice, and their client gave them the wrong bank account number.
Oh,
And 30
I
days
remember
goes
that.
by, 60 days goes by, they're calling up in an absolute panic. There's no other word for it. "I'm not getting my monthly checks. What the heck's going on?"
Yeah,
And we went back like, "Oh, well, forgot we gave you the savings account instead of the checking account. Our bad, you know."
right,
But
right.
if we had done that at 48 hours or at 30 days, we could have headed off all those panic calls. They were calling downline agent, they called us, they were calling the carrier, they're calling the bank. Everybody was freaking out, and it was just a little clerical mix-up. Could have been solved with just a
Right.
revisit to your client that you already sold.
That's right. That's
But
right.
Kevin, what do you do if someone wobbles?
You know, we you got to return to the why that they gave us, right? So, for example, you told me this was about protecting your spouse and making sure you got X amount of dollars that hits the bank each month. Has that changed? You do it in a calm voice. It's short sentences. There's no defensiveness. You just want to make sure you remind them of what they've told you. And then you ask, that hasn't changed, has it? Or has it changed? When you ask that now, it's like, oh, oh yeah, okay, that's what I'm doing. Because they'll forget, right? You've got to help them along. It's really one of the keys. A lot of people, "Oh, I can't sell annuities. I don't feel comfortable with it." And it's really about the process. And if you stay to the process and you do these check-ins, you put your client in a comfort area where they've got some calm about it, some peace. They feel good about that
Right.
decision if you follow
And it
this
makes their
process.
day easier, it makes your day easier.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, and then referrals start rolling.
There you go, baby.
So, give us the Emma story. Listeners love the teaser.
Okay, so this goes back. Emma was brilliant. She knew her products cold, and like every good new young man, they know that product. Man, they run a circle because they know the product. But Emma got ghosted. So what I did was, yeah, built a 4-week ramp for Emma. And so week one was what I call foundations. So you do a daily, 10-minute value pass with reps. So it's 60 seconds, plain English. The best practice is to record it and you grade it with clarity, confidence, and warmth. So that's what you're looking for, right? So week one's building the foundations. And then the drill is you explain it as if you're explaining it to a smart 12-year-old,
Right,
right? Not someone that's got an economics degree or a finance degree.
right. Yeah, if a 7th grader can get it, you're on the right track.
Exactly. But when we're new, we want to show, we already feel like we're at a disadvantage because we don't have any of the gray hairs or anything. And so we overcompensate. We learn the product, but what we end up doing is we confuse the
Right.
buyer, right? And that doesn't matter if you're selling annuities or life insurance. You could be selling any kind of software program. For me, when those young guys are calling to pitch our company something, heck the time I'll go, I don't even know what we're talking about
Right.
here. Can you tell me what this does and why this is important to my business?
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10, they never even
Yeah,
qualified
even
my
if you're selling
business.
houses, you can go down a rabbit hole like, "Oh, the house was just retrofitted with PEX tubing that reduces hydrostatic flow." And they're like,
Right.
"What?"
Yeah,
You could just
exactly.
say, "It was all repiped." That's all.
Yeah,
That's it. A
exactly. That's
12-year-old
all I
gets
would
that.
care about. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not the engineer here, right? Um, so, the rule here is if a smart 12-year-old wouldn't get it, um, do it again. So you practice this till you're like, okay, yeah, I think anybody could understand this.
Right.
Okay. And then week two is the objection ladder. And this is another key part. You put the 7 top objections. So if you're new in it, guaranteed you've got objections, write those objections down and then you list your top 7. And so for each objection, you've got a question, you reframe the objection, and then you create a path back to the decision. You want to put a timer on. Um, Allow for interruptions. We train under pressure. That way, the games, that's how the games are played when you're on the phone. You're on pressure. I mean, if you're in phone cells and you're trying to get a hold of people via the phone, you've got a limited, you know, first 12 seconds are really important. And then as the call goes, you've got a limited time. So you've got to keep that concise. And if you're practicing to game time, this is how phone call plays out. You get really good at
Right.
it. As a former football coach for 25 seasons, I can tell you we ran the same 6 plays over and over. And then, I called them 12 plays because they 6 to the right, 6 to the left. Occasionally we put it in a wrinkle, but that was after we got the 6 plays done and the blocking was right. Everything, the steps were right. That's how you coach football. That's how you coach basketball. And guess what? That's how you coach good selling.
And if you're not practicing with the play clock, what are you gonna do when the game's on the line and that clock's running?
Exactly.
You see it all the time on
Yeah.
Saturdays and Sundays. You can tell which teams practice with play clocks and which
Yeah.
ones don't.
Yeah.
The team with 8 delay a game calls by the end of the
Right.
game, they don't practice
Exactly.
with a shot clock or a play clock.
Exactly.
The team that
Exactly
has
right.
none of those penalties, they probably got one person just manning a stopwatch the whole practice.
Exactly. So, and then in week 3, it's the commitment scaffolding. So I had Emma practice the commitment question and then the close map until she could do it with a sticky note, not a slide deck. Everybody loves a slide deck. I don't know if they love it as much now, but man, back
It just sound cooler.
10 years, oh, the PowerPoints are like, I'm watching things phase in and phase out. I'm like, wow, that's cool. Like I think every kid these days can do a PowerPoint. They teach it in school.
Oh,
but
easily,
they
yeah.
obviously didn't
Yeah,
have
they
that
call them
when I was.
slide decks now. We call them
Slide
PowerPoint
deck.
presentations when
Okay.
that'll date you
Yeah.
in a boardroom meeting.
Yeah. And then in week 4, we do live and fire and film it or record it, depending on what type of business you got. So we record real calls. Um, then, we had her, for example, self score first. So she's got ownership, right? And then we scored it together. So here's the rule here: we praise what to repeat before we fix what to change.
Right, kinda what'd you do right on that call? Like,
Right.
"All right, now let's talk about everything you did wrong on that.
Right.
Next call is gonna be."
Yeah. And as the trainer, um, you're getting to see how they're viewing themselves
Right.
on it. And then you're giving your assessment on it. So hopefully it's in sync because there's been practice and expectations are set. But listen, I'm sure a lot of you listeners, not everybody gets a good leader.
Right.
And so some have no feedback. They're just taking a stab at it. Then they get their manager in and they just get ripped because there was nothing along the way. And good leaders lead you along the way to help you get to the end. So
You gotta commit to being coachable as well.
a
Like,
hundred
you're
percent.
not perfect or else,
That's right.
you wouldn't be sitting in your boss's office.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly
So,
right.
what were Emma's results after that?
Well, so her second meeting close rate jumped 2 times in 60 days.
Awesome.
So that's a big move for her. And then there, again, it wasn't magic. It's the reps. It's the reps with the feedback. Think about, the atomic habits. Make good reps obvious, make them easy.
So, what should teams copy tomorrow?
I would do a 5-minute stand up. One rep runs a value pass, one rep runs an objection ladder, and then you do the quick notes, and then you're done.
Right.
And then create the scorecards. Here's what a scorecard should be framed at. Keep it simple, so you have like clarity. 1 through 5, was the message clear? You rate that. Control of pace, was it fast or was it all over the place? Um, the why, did they capture the why? And then the clean finish. So if you've got clarity, control of pace, the why capture, and the clean finish, and you rate these 1 through 5, it's a pretty easy, simple scorecard. And then it's best if you've got the opportunity, if you've got a buddy system. So you've got what that does is it pairs the closers up together. Um, and I've heard this saying a long time ago. You can't smell your own scent or scent, right? Um, Someone else hears your ticks. So I shared this story with you way back in the day when my calls were getting monitored, and the sales trainer goes, "How do you, within 15 seconds, either pick up your pace of the call or slow the pace of the call, depending on who's on the other line?" I didn't even know I was doing that. It's a best practice, but by them telling me now I was aware, um, and we trained others how to be aware.
Right.
So everyone ended up getting better in something that I didn't even realize I was doing. Um, uh,
Yeah, steal and borrow. From
exactly.
from if the guy across the wall from you is closing every 3rd call and you're closing every 13th call, start
Yeah.
listening to him when you're
Start
not on the
listening.
phone and start picking up some of his
Yeah,
stories
exactly.
and picking up his tips and tricks. That's
That's right.
the way I've always done it.
Yeah. Good best practice.
So, Kevin, you've been number one across four very different stops. What keeps you there?
Well, this is really kind of a boring answer, but it's systems. I know it's really boring. Everybody hates, "Oh, I've got a system." Oh, yeah, whatever. Everybody's got a system. They're all garbage. Listen, the system, if you stick to the system, it's undefeated. That's the key. So, you know, have something I call a QBR, quality behavior results. Quality equals are we clear and are we calm? I've had salespeople yell at the customer. I'm like, dude, what are you yelling about? Like, it's all about you set this calmness about you, then everybody kind of calms down. If you're like, you scream, then everybody's like jittery and jumpy. So quality, are we clear and calm? Behavior is did we run the manual steps that we've been practicing, which should be second nature, and then the results. Where did we did we set it? Did we keep it? Did we close it? And if Q and B are right, R follows. So two numbers, right? To predict your month. Second meeting set rate and the A and B decision tree. When those hold, the month holds. You got to guard those like oxygen.
Right.
And then weekly film or phone calls, 10 minutes of tape. We learn more from one call than a week of theorizing. And I'm big on this. Listen, teachers teach because they haven't gone out there and done it in 95% of the cases. They're just teaching a theory, trying to get tenured and doing the minimalist work that they can. Those that are out there getting their nose bloodied every day, they're the ones that can become good and maybe even become great. They become great if they're doing a weekly assessment. Or I like you guys to the last 10 minutes of the day, what were some wins?
Yeah.
Stack some of those wins because listen, in sales, you are constantly getting told no. It can really mess with your mental positiveness, and kind of shake your confidence. So if you're doing your hey, what were some of my wins today? Where do some of the things I need to get better? Maybe review a call or two at the end of the week, or if you've got time at the end of the day, if you remember one, you need to go here or have a partner listen to it. Those are best practices.
Yeah.
That's how you get better, right? You know, you look at a golfer, for example, and I know you don't like golf, Matt, or understand it, but even the best, Scotty Scheffler's the number one rated golf. Wouldn't know who he is, but Tiger Woods, I know
Yeah.
you've
No,
heard
I
of
know
him.
he's in Happy Gilmore too, isn't he?
Yes, he is. So, so listen, these top golfers have swing
Right.
coaches, right? So if you are asking for a mentor or a coach or asking for a partner at your office to hear it, it's how you get better. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. Or even if you got somebody that's sitting right behind you or right next to you, you're comfortable with having feet.
Yeah,
Because I hear it all the time in our dialing room.
yeah,
No, you leave voicemail after voicemail after voicemail. You finally get somebody to pick up the phone. You're just so excited to talk to somebody. You go right into pitch, and then you it's over in 60 seconds.
that's right.
Like, no, you didn't control the pace. You didn't remain
That's
calm. You went off the rails. You're like,
right,
it's my shiny new toy, and then you break it.
right, right. Yep. And then you got to remember to keep the why in the room. So we reread the real client quotes in the pipeline reviews. And if you can't hear the person you're protecting, you're going to drift into your pitching, right? So if you are good about laying that out, then it helps you as the salesperson stay focused and on track
Right.
because a lot of us in sales love to talk and we can lose the roadmap. So it's really important that you stay nice and succinct
Yeah.
and stay on the
You
roadmap.
forget it's a conversation. You kind of just it becomes a monologue
Right.
after a while.
Yeah, you miss your exit.
Yeah.
Right?
And what about the mindset?
So curiosity over cleverness is one. Calm over speed. I hear this all the time. It's like, you got a minimum dial that we want to hit every every day. And so some people are like, I'm going to win the dial number. So they dial, they get somebody on, and they're like, oh gosh, I just run through it. Okay, yeah, and then hang up. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Now I'll get back. And they're missing opportunities
Yeah.
to sell.
If
That's
you
where
want
you're
them
going to
off
make
the
your
phone
money.
so bad, just hang up on them.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually had a guy that he didn't last very long under me, but once I caught that's what he was doing, guys leading the dials by twice as much as anyone else, but he was just hanging up when somebody picked up. I'm like, no wonder he's
Yeah.
not. His activity to his close rates were so far off the norm that I knew something was up.
Right.
So curiosity over cleverness, calm over speed, lead, don't perform. And remember, the close isn't something you do to people, it's a path that you walk with them in.
So if part one taught you to stop pitching and start the right conversation, part two gave you the last five moves to finish like a pro. Today, you got the commitment scaffold. You got four closes that work right now. You got day two psychology. You got your training plan and the system for staying number one.
Yeah, everything we ran today is laid out step by step in the closing manual. There's scripts, there's drills, there's scorecards in the real world language that we use every day. It's targeted to annuities in life, but listen, these are high trust sales skills that you can carry anywhere.
So grab the book, link in the show notes, mark it up, tape the commitment question to your monitor.
If you're a consumer who wants a plan that protects your income without extra market risk, Plan Life Right.com, go to there. Um, Click on you'd like a meeting. If you're an advisor who wants the system, not the folklore, go to advisorrescue.net. I'm Kevin Ross. He's Matt Floyd. Lead with conversation, close with clarity, and always plan life right.